book is titled Gods of the SADC Region, and we're speaking to the author today, Katleho Moeca. Is it Ka or Ka?
Moeca.
Moeca.
Yes.
Okay, I got it wrong. So that's Katleho Moeca who's joining us in studio. This is the future of Africa reimagined in the story. It's a fantasy written in the future, the year 2044. Katleho, thank you so much for coming through to our studios.
No, thank you very much. And thank you very much to all your listeners and your colleagues.
Well, tell us about the kind of things that are going on in your head, because it takes a lot of imagination to come up with, a fictitious story. But also, it sounds like this fictitious story is quite realistic in some of the things that we're already experiencing in the SADC region.
Yeah, no, awesome, man. So, firstly, I think of myself as a dreamer. I'm a creative. I'm actually a graphic designer by origin. So I whatever I put to mind, and I see myself as somebody who's got the ability to project my imagination on paper, like whatever I have in my mind, I can write it down. I can color it, I can draw it, I can paint it, I can design it, and all of that, right? So what inspires me, or what's going around in my mind, it's when you see movies like The Matrix, John Wick, King Kong, you ask yourself, why don't we have that here in Africa, And you just spoke about Pinky. We don't have to look far. We don't have to look far,
They've been there.
Yeah, and when I say King Kong, we don't have to have a King Kong here. It has to be realistic to who we are, like the myth, we've got Tokoloshi. Tokoloshi doesn't have to be that ape little thing that walks around at night. It can be anything. It can be a person who transforms at night. It can be a hero.
And a lot of people here in Africa, they transform at night. We've heard those stories.
So so that's my inspiration, man. I wanted to bring that onto our soil and using our own people with our own names so that we can also see ourselves in that space.
Yeah, Katleho, I love what you're saying, because I don't think we imagine enough about ourselves. I don't think we actually go into the creative zone where we just become crazy and rethink some of these mythical figures, right? Yeah. And we always kind of like put them in kind of a different space. But you actually wrote about your imagination. What prompted you? Because it's not something that we do a lot when we actually explore some crazy images. Usually we like our fiction stories are based on true narratives, but they don't really get into like mythical worlds. Why did you think it was important to get into a mythical narrative?
Okay, so growing up, So first of all, like I said, I'm a storyteller, right? So growing up, and my aunt will testify to this, that I used to play alone by myself outside, right? So I had these uncles who used to smoke a lot growing up, right? So I used to create stories in my mind, and I would use those stompies. Those stompies?
The leftover cigarette butts.
Yes. Like the Cotley stompy, the white one.
The cigarette butts, yes.
That would be like man in authority. And then you find the brown ones with this and that. So I used to play around.
What was the matchstick?
So those would be weapons. Yeah, and the bricks.
Yes.
Like the face bricks, right? The huge one would be like a bus, and then the half cut would be like your half cut and all of those things. And I would put those stompies on there and just drive around and all of those things, right? But growing up and me seeing all these movies and all of that, when I first saw Queen Sono on Netflix, I think this was about 8 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. When I saw that, I was so excited. I was like, wow, we can do it. When you look at the martial arts, how they move and all of those things, I was like, great. And then all of those then came, like Savage Beauty. When I look at I saw the quality, the acting, the production. I was like, wow, amazing. So if we are here, so let's dream. So then I started playing around with these things. I started building these characters, and I watch a lot of movies. So I saw The Matrix, I saw the Predator, I saw
Harry Potter wasn't there because this looks like Harry Potter. This cover looks like Harry Potter. It looks like a Harry Potter moment in an urban setting.
So what I also wanted to curate was the image of like Godfather. So that's what the cover looks like.
Okay.
So I wanted to give you, just by looking at the cover, I wanted you to get the sense of what you're about to experience by reading the book.
Well, let's look at some of the themes of this book, because when we think about mythical characters, we don't think about the things that are happening in our world. But you've sort of merged these two worlds in a futuristic view where we look at crime, corruption, the underworld. These are the things that we struggle with today that are breaking down our society. And that's sort of what the cover gives me, like a completely broken down society and a rebuilding.
Yes. No, definitely. So we see all of these coming and taking shape in our lives, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end, you'll see how everything starts falling apart based on all of these things that are happening, the corruption, the money, and all of those things. So it was important for me to bring that also into the picture.
Okay.
And also, when you go into the chapters, you'll see how you can also see yourself. Mm-hmm. You will pick up a few characters that you would love, but you would connect to those by your day-to-day kind of experiences that you have, right? Mm-hmm. So that crime does not pay at the end of the day, and everybody loses, no matter how you look at it.
Okay.
Right? So I became a bit more creative in how the story unfolds and the events that takes place.
So who are the main characters? Can you give us a little bit of an inkling, not giving everything away, but give us a little bit of some of the characters that are key to this underground end of the SADC era world?
Okay. So in the story, we're introduced to two rival families or empires, right?
Okay.
The Adiemi and the Moeca family.
Okay.
Who are fighting for dominance in the futuristic SADC, with most of the events taking place here in SA.
I already see, who do I see? Who's that guy who used to be on Generations?
Tao.
Oh, yeah, Tao. I already see Tao leading that family.
Gennaro, Baka Haynes. Those are the characters that I saw. And what was nice was that we already have those faces.
Okay, tell us a little bit more.
Anyway, so in the story, you will also see...
No, these two families, what about them? Tell me more about these two families.
Okay, all right, okay. So, the shadows... so there's a young boy who gets groomed by the dead, right?
Okay.
So where they found their name, the shadows, is that they don't operate in the day, right? You never see them around.
Wow.
They only operate at night.
So that's the name of the family, the shadows.
Okay. No. So they are the Moeca family.
The Moeca family.
But they are known as the shadows in the underground industry.
Okay.
Right? Because you never see them anywhere. Right? When you do spot one or two of them, like during the day, you must know that either you or somebody next to you is in trouble. So you must disappear. Right? That's why they call them the shadows. You never see them. They just appear and then they do their business and all of those things.
Yeah.
Right? So in the family, you find a weird guy like Teboho. Mm-hmm. Right? Family members and some of his friends, they know him as Jeepers Creepers.
Yes.
He's a weird guy. He keeps to himself.
Yeah.
Nobody ever knows where he is. So on missions, he goes alone. He drives his own car. Mm-hmm. He's never seen with friends or girlfriends and whatsoever, right? Mm-hmm. And nobody knows his whereabouts. But for some reason, when he's needed,
he's there.
He appears somewhere to save people. So that's one of the characters that are nice. There's also in the other family, the Adiemi family, there's a guy called Abilio. He's the older guy, right? His dad calls him Billions.
Okay.
Right? He's like a tall, colored guy, handsome ladies guy. He's
charmer.
Martial artist at heart. Mm-hmm. One-on-one will tear you apart. Right? He's always training, keeping to shape and all of those things. He's got these gadgets that tracks his movement and is always trying to improve, right? Also a nice character, right? And then you find the younger brother in that space who is seeking for attention. So the family try to keep him away from the underground things of things.
The innocent one.
Yes, and then they like traveling all over the world, studying and all of those things. But he wants to come back. And he wants to impress his father, right? and him and his entourage, they get themselves mixed up in a lot of bad things.
All right, we're going to find out a little bit more about this book. It's called Gods of the SADC Region, and we're unpacking it with the author Katleho Moeca, who is really unpacking this mystical, dark, shadowy, but also hero story in some aspect with us here in studio. Stay with us.
That's the book by Katleho we're speaking to today, really about this book and these characters that are very, very interesting. Let's talk a little bit about the context in which this book is framed, because it seems like it's challenging some of the issues that we are facing right now. How do you blend those situations of corruption, the situations of, a future of the SADC region? How does it look like? Can you give us a bit of a clue of what's happening in this future here in Southern Africa?
Okay. So maybe I must give you my inspiration or my vision so that you have more context. So my vision is to project something completely different to what we're already used to in Africa, and more so South Africa, right? And don't get me wrong, I appreciate our historical background and all of that stuff. But if you look at how we see ourselves, right? You look at what we write, our books, our movies, films, series, and all of those things. We focus a lot on the past, right? We write more about our struggle heroes, historic culture, racism issues, poverty issues, and all of those things, right? When you look at the Western, the Europeans, they dream differently, right? They like to see themselves in the future, so they project that, right? For example, if you look at when Star Wars was made, like decades ago, we saw automatic doors opening.
Right.
We saw touch screens and all of those things, and things flying. And today is our reality, right? So that's how they see themselves. So I think maybe we also need to move away from all our racism issues that we focus on, and especially so for our young ones. We need them to believe differently, to see things differently, to see themselves in a different light, right? So that's where my vision is for the story. So now bringing this into the SADC and into the future. So the story is written in 20 years' time.
Okay.
Right? And there's a lot
of... And it's not so far from now, to be honest.
Yes. It's not. So also I didn't want to think too far. Right? If you look at the technologies that you will see in the story, like we've got like a watch that can project a hologram that can display an entire building, and you can select like per floor whatsoever, and you can see everybody in there, right?
Okay.
We see goggles where they can detect movement from the other side of the wall.
Okay.
You know, they can sense body heat and all of those things, right? So that's how I had to bring that here, so that, you know, writers and storytellers, and I'm talking about the Western, right? You look at how they see themselves, right? You look at the movies they do, like the Twilight Saga, and all of that I've mentioned, right? So we also, if we start writing ourselves differently, we will see a different outlook for us in the next 20 years. The technology that we have, right, will be technology that we can use here, not what they have up there, what will be relevant for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's delve a little deeper into this particular book before we go away. I mean, we've heard about some of the villainous activities taking place by, you know, the families, the Shadows, and, you know, the Moeca family and the Adieme family in here. But let's speak about the heroes. Who are the heroes in this book, and what does a hero look like in 2044? Okay, I might be giving the story away, but okay, let's see.
Okay, so look, at the end of the day, both families, they're not projected as heroes, right? But towards the end, you can see where things start going wrong, and one family is trying to stand up for a certain belief, right?
Okay.
So I guess you can classify them as heroes then, right?
Okay.
And it's led by the middle the brother is Molaudi, right? He's always he can reason very well. So he's the guy that goes into negotiations and all of those things when the fathers are not finding themselves in the whole. Yes.
So even within the villains, there are always heroes, which is, shows just like a full circle moments that are taking place in this book. Well, we don't want to give it all away. It sounds like a very, very intriguing book, and you sound like a hugely imaginative man who, is making sure to immerse themselves in this fictitious world. Where can we go to find out more and find this book, Gods of the SADC Region?
Yeah, so it's God of the SADC Region, Repercussions, Chapter 1.
Okay.
The year 2044.
Okay.
So this is one of the 4 chapters.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So you can Google my whole name, Katleho, with the H-O, Kevin Moeca. Moeca, you can pronounce it as Moeca, M-O-E-C-A. You Google that. All platforms where the book is sold are there. Like Take a Lot, the book is on Take a Lot. It's on Amazon. It's on Books to Read. We also have a website. It's godsofthesadcregion.org. Just like that. So that's where you find us. You can also reach me on my phone number.
If you're happy to share, go ahead.
083-899-2043. 083-899-2043.
Nice one. Don't go and stalk Katleho, you guys. Just look for the book. Just say you want the book. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. Sounds like a very, very intriguing book. I can't wait to go through it. I have it in my hand, and I can't wait to see what happens at the end of the story. But we appreciate your time this morning, Katleho Kevin Moeca, joining us, author of the book, Gods of the SADC Region. Do you want to say something?
Yes. Go ahead. All right. So when I started writing the book, you'll see that it's written in the form of a film.
Okay.
So the end goal is to have this on the big screens.
That's it.
Yes. So that's the end goal.
All right. So you look out for the book and imagine it as a film that's definitely coming in the future, starring Palesa. I'm going to be in it. Don't worry.